Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of English Broadcast Studio. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something super helpful for all the beginners out there, everyday English conversation. If you're just starting to learn English, this video is perfect for you.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm really excited about this topic. Everyday English is something we use all the time, and being comfortable with it can make a huge difference in your daily life. So whether you're at the grocery store, at work, or just chatting with a friend, these conversations will help you sound more natural and confident.
Exactly, Emma. English is a very practical language, and today we'll cover common phrases and expressions that you'll need for everyday conversations. We'll break things down and give you examples so you can start using them right away.
So let's get started. First, we'll go over some basic greetings. These are the very first words you'll say when meeting someone. Alex, can you start?
Of course. So, the most common way to greet someone is by saying hello. It's simple, but it works in almost every situation. You can also use hi for a more casual greeting.
Yes, and if you're meeting someone for the first time or want to be polite, you might say, "Nice to meet you," or "Pleased to meet you." These are both great options when you're introducing yourself.
Exactly. And of course, there's how are you? A classic greeting. Emma, what's your usual response when someone asks, how are you?
Well, I usually say, "I'm good, thank you," or simply, "I'm fine, thanks." It's short and polite. You can also say, "I'm doing well," or "I'm doing great," if you're feeling a bit more energetic.
That's right. But if you're not feeling so great, it's okay to say, I'm not feeling well, or I'm a little tired today. Honesty is important, and people will understand.
Definitely. And if someone asks you, "How about you?" after you answer, "How are you?" it's just polite to ask them the same question. So if I say, "I'm good, thank you," I might follow up with, "How about you?" to return the courtesy.
All right, now that we've covered greetings, let's move on to introductions. This is another important part of everyday conversation. When meeting someone new, you can say something like, Hi, my name is Alex. What's your name?
And if someone introduces themselves to you, you can respond by saying, "Nice to meet you, Alex." Another way to introduce yourself is, "I'm Emma. Nice to meet you." It's always nice to add "nice to meet you" when meeting someone for the first time.
That's true. And let's say you want to introduce a friend or colleague to someone. You could say, This is my friend John, or Let me introduce you to my colleague Sarah. It's a very polite way to make an introduction.
Yes, and don't forget to shake hands when meeting someone for the first time, especially in professional settings. It's a sign of respect and makes a good impression. "Nice to meet you" is often said as you shake hands.
Okay, let's talk about small talk now. Small talk is very important in daily conversations, especially when you're meeting someone new. It's a way to keep the conversation going and get to know someone better. Emma, can you give an example of small talk?
Sure, if you're at a party, for example, you might say, "How do you know the host?" or "How's your date going so far?" These are simple questions to help start a casual conversation.
Those are great. Another example could be asking about the weather, which is a classic small talk topic. You could say, It's a beautiful day today, isn't it? Or, Looks like it's going to rain later, huh?
Yeah, the weather is always a safe topic for small talk. People love to talk about the weather, especially if it's something interesting or unusual.
Exactly. And once the conversation starts flowing, you can ask about hobbies or interests. For example, you might ask, What do you like to do in your free time? Or do you have any hobbies? Now, let's talk about asking for help. Sometimes you might find yourself in a situation where you need assistance, whether it's directions or just general help with something. It's important to know how to ask politely.
Absolutely. A very common way to ask for help is to say, "Excuse me, can you help me?" It's polite and direct, and you can use it in many different situations. For example, "Excuse me, can you help me find the nearest bus stop?"
That's a great one. Another way to ask for help is, Could you please help me with this? You could say, "Could you please help me carry this box?" Or, "Could you help me with my homework?" The word please makes the request even more polite.
And if you're in a store or a restaurant, you might say, "Excuse me, where can I find," or "Can you tell me where the nearest restroom is?" Again, "excuse me" is the key to getting someone's attention without being too abrupt.
Exactly, Emma. And if you're not sure about something like the price of an item or a menu choice, you can say, "How much is this?" Or, "Can you recommend something on the menu?" Asking politely is key.
Speaking of restaurants, let's move on to ordering food. If you're at a restaurant, it's important to know how to place an order. Emma, what's the first thing you say when the waiter or waitress comes to your table?
Well, usually I say, "Hi, we're ready to order." Or, "Could we please have the menu?" It's a good idea to let them know when you're ready. Once the menu is in front of you, you can say, "I'll have the chicken pasta, please."
Great example. You can also ask for recommendations by saying, "What do you recommend?" or "What's your special today?" This shows you're interested in trying something new or special on the menu.
Exactly, Emma. And don't forget to say please and thank you when ordering. For example, "I'll have the burger, please." Or, "Could I have a glass of water, please?" Small words like these make a big difference.
And if you need something while eating, you can say, "Could I get some extra napkins, please?" Or, "Excuse me, can I get the check?" It's always good to be polite and considerate.
Now let's move on to asking for directions. This can be especially useful if you're traveling or even just navigating your local area. Emma, what do you say when you're lost or need directions?
Well, the first thing you could say is, "Excuse me, can you help me? I'm looking for," insert location. You can ask for directions like, "How do I get to the nearest train station?" Or, "Can you tell me where the park is?" Always start with "excuse me" to be polite.
And if you don't understand the directions right away, it's okay to ask for clarification. You can say, "Sorry, could you say that again?" Or, "I'm not sure I understood. Could you explain that in a different way?" That way you're still being respectful while making sure you understand.
Exactly. And if someone gives you directions, make sure to thank them. You could say, "Thank you so much for your help," or "I really appreciate it."
Let's talk a little about hobbies and interests now. This is a great topic for casual conversations, especially if you want to get to know someone better. You can start by asking, "What do you like to do in your free time?"
That's a perfect question. You can also ask, "Do you have any hobbies?" or "What are you passionate about?" These kinds of questions show that you're interested in the person's life outside of work or school.
Exactly. And when you answer, you can say things like, "I love playing football," or "I enjoy reading books in my free time." If you're really passionate about something, you can say, "I'm really into photography," or "I've been learning how to cook recently."
Those are great examples, Alex. And remember, if the other person mentions something interesting, you can follow up with more questions. For instance, if someone says, "I love hiking," you can ask, "Where do you usually hike?" Or "What's the best trail you've been on?" It keeps the conversation flowing.
Now let's talk about making plans with someone. Whether it's for the weekend or just grabbing coffee, making plans is a big part of everyday conversation. Emma, if you want to invite someone out, what do you say?
You could say, "Do you want to grab a coffee sometime?" Or "Would you like to hang out this weekend?" If you want to be more specific, you could say, "How about we go to the movies on Friday?" Or "Would you be interested in going for a walk tomorrow?"
Those are perfect. And when someone invites you to do something, you can say, "That sounds great," or "I'd love to show that you're interested.
If you're not available, you can politely decline by saying, "I'm sorry, I already have plans," or "I can't this time, but let's plan for another day."
Now, let's talk about expressing likes and dislikes. It's a natural part of conversation, whether you're talking about food, movies, or anything else. Emma, how would you express your likes?
For expressing likes, you can say things like, "I really like this song," or "I love going to the beach." It's a simple way to show that you enjoy something. You can also say, I'm a big fan of, and you can insert your hobby or interest.
Exactly. And if you want to be more enthusiastic, you can say, I absolutely love it, or I'm crazy about it. These expressions show even more excitement.
On the flip side, for expressing dislikes, you can say, I don't like this movie at all, or I'm not a fan of spicy food. If you want to sound a bit softer, you can say, I'm not really into, or I don't really care for. It's a more gentle way of saying you don't like something.
That's true. And if you dislike something but want to be polite about it, you can use phrases like, it's not my favorite, or I'm not crazy about it. It's a good way to avoid sounding too negative. Part 11. Talking about the weather. One topic that always comes up in conversation is the weather. It's an easy topic to talk about when you don't know what else to say. You can start by commenting on the weather. For example, it's so sunny today, or it looks like it's going to rain.
Yes, the weather is an easy conversation starter. And if you want to ask about the weather, you can say, what's the weather like where you are? Or how is the weather today? It's a simple question, but it helps keep the conversation going.
Exactly. If it's cold, you might say, it's freezing today. Or if it's hot, you can say, it's really warm outside, isn't it? People are always willing to talk about the weather, so it's a great topic to use when starting a chat.
If you're unsure about the weather, you could also ask, is it going to rain later? Or do you think it will be sunny this afternoon? It's a casual way to keep the conversation going.
Part 12. Talking about your day. Now, let's talk about discussing your day. People often ask, how is your day? So how do you answer that, Emma?
Well, if my day was good, I might say, it was great. Thanks for asking. Or if I had a busy day, I could say, it was a long day, but I got a lot done. If I didn't have such a great day, I might say, it was okay, just a little tiring.
Those are perfect responses. You can also give more detail if you want, like, my day was awesome because I got to meet up with some friends. Or, I had a rough day at work, but I'm glad it's over.
Exactly. And if someone asks how your day was, but you don't want to go into too much detail, you can just say, it was fine, thanks. It's a polite and short answer.
Part 14. Making a compliment. Let's now talk about giving compliments. Complimenting someone is a great way to make them feel good. Emma, how would you compliment someone?
If someone looks nice, I might say, you look great today, or I love your outfit. Compliments don't always have to be about appearance. You can also say, you did a great job on that project, or your presentation was amazing. It shows appreciation for someone's work.
Yes, compliments are a great way to brighten someone's day. And of course, always be sincere when giving compliments. If you really like something, say, that's a fantastic idea, or you're so talented.
Another way to give a compliment is to say, I really admire your, and then you can insert a quality, like, I admire your patience, or I admire how hardworking you are. It's a nice way to acknowledge someone's positive traits.
All right, we're almost done. Now let's talk about saying goodbye. This is one of the most important things to know in a conversation. Emma, what are some ways to say goodbye?
There are so many ways to say goodbye. The most common is simply goodbye. But if you want something more casual, you can say see you later or take care. If you're saying goodbye to a close friend, you can also say catch you later or talk to you soon. It's friendly and polite, and it doesn't feel rushed.
Exactly. And if you're saying goodbye to someone you don't know that well, goodbye or it was nice meeting you will work just fine. All right, that brings us to the end of today's conversation lesson on everyday English. We've covered a lot, from greetings to making plans and saying goodbye.
We hope this was helpful for you. Remember, practice makes perfect. The more you practice these conversations, the more confident you'll feel when speaking English in real-life situations.
Now, let's talk about something a little more personal. Talking about your family. This is a great topic to discuss when getting to know someone better. Emma, how would you start talking about your family?
Well, a simple way to begin is by saying, I have a small family, or I come from a big family. From there, you can talk about the different members of your family. For example, I have 2 brothers and 1 sister.
Yes, that's a great start. You could also say, I'm the oldest in my family, or I have a younger sister. You can talk about your relationship with them as well, like, my brother and I get along really well, or I'm really close to my mom.
Exactly. And if you want to ask someone about their family, you can say, do you have any siblings? Or tell me about your family. It's a good way to show interest in their personal life.
And if you're talking about your parents, you can say things like, my mom is a teacher, or my dad works in a bank. If you want to talk about family events, you can say, we always have a big family gathering during the holidays, or I visit my grandparents every summer.
I love talking about family. It's such a warm topic. If you want to share more about family traditions, you could say, every year we celebrate Thanksgiving together. Or, my family loves to go on road trips during the summer.
Let's move on to work and school. Many conversations revolve around our professional or academic life. So, how do you talk about work or school, Emma?
When talking about work, you can say things like, I work as a teacher, or I'm an engineer. If you want to describe what you do, you can add, I teach English at a high school, or I work in software development.
For sure. And if you're talking about your studies, you can say, I'm a student at blank school or university, or you can mention your field of study, like I'm studying engineering, or I'm majoring in business administration.
If you want to ask someone about their job or studies, you could say, what do you do for work? Or what are you studying? It's a casual way to learn more about their career or academic life.
Exactly. And if someone asks you about your work or school, it's a great opportunity to talk about what you enjoy. You could say, I love my job because I get to help people. Or, I really enjoy studying biology. It's so interesting. Another fun topic to discuss is movies and entertainment. Everyone loves talking about what they've been watching. Emma, what's your favorite way to talk about movies?
I'd say something like, I love watching action movies, or I'm a huge fan of comedy films. If I've just watched a movie, I might say, I just saw the new Marvel movie and it was amazing.
Nice. And if you didn't like a movie, you can say, I didn't enjoy that movie very much, or it wasn't really my type of movie. It's a polite way to express your opinion.
Exactly. And if you want to talk about TV shows, you can say, I've been binge watching a new series on Netflix, or I'm really into crime dramas at the moment. TV shows are also a great conversation starter.
Right. And if you're asking someone about what they watch, you could ask, what's your favorite movie? Or, have you seen any good TV shows lately? People love sharing their recommendations.
Yes. And if you want to ask for movie or show suggestions, you can say, do you have any movie recommendations? Or, what's a good show to watch if I like thrillers? It's a great way to discover new entertainment.
Let's talk about health and fitness now. This is another area where people have a lot to say. Emma, how would you start talking about your health or fitness routine?
Well, I'd say something like, I've been going to the gym lately, or I try to eat healthy. If I want to talk about my exercise routine, I might say, I go for a run every morning, or I do yoga to stay fit.
That's awesome. You can also share how you're feeling physically, like, I've been feeling really good lately. I've been exercising more. Or if you're not feeling great, you might say, I've been feeling a bit tired because I've been working out a lot.
Exactly. And if someone asks you about your fitness goals, you could say, I'm trying to lose weight, or I'm working on building muscle. People love sharing their fitness journeys.
For sure. And if you're giving advice, you might say, it's important to drink plenty of water when working out. Or make sure to get enough sleep if you want to stay healthy. It's always good to share health tips with others. Now, let's move to something we all need to do at some point. Apologizing. Sometimes we make mistakes, and it's important to know how to apologize in English. Emma, what are some ways to say sorry?
You can start with a simple, I'm sorry, or I apologize. If you want to give more detail, you can say, I'm really sorry for being late, or I apologize for the misunderstanding.
Great examples. If you feel like you made a bigger mistake, you can say, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. You can also add, I hope you can forgive me. It's a way to show that you genuinely regret your actions.
And if someone apologizes to you, it's important to accept their apology politely. You can say, it's okay, I understand, or no problem, we all make mistakes. It's a great way to let the person know that there are no hard feelings.
Now, let's talk about travel and vacations. Traveling is something many people enjoy, and it's a great topic to bring up in conversation. Emma, how would you start talking about your travel experiences?
I would say something like, I love traveling to new places. Or if I've recently been on a trip, I might say, I just came back from a trip to the beach and it was amazing. Travel always gives us great stories to share.
That sounds great. If you're asking someone about their travel plans, you can say, where have you traveled recently? Or do you have any vacation plans? People love talking about their favorite destinations.
Yes, and if you're talking about your dream vacation, you can say, I've always wanted to visit Japan, or my dream vacation is to go to Europe. It's a fun way to discuss future travel ideas.
For sure. And if someone asks you about your favorite vacation spot, you can say, I absolutely love going to the mountains, or I'm a big fan of beach vacations. Traveling is such a rich topic for conversation. Let's move on to food. Talking about food is a huge part of everyday conversations, especially when you're hungry. Emma, how would you describe your favorite food?
I'd say something like, my favorite food is pizza, or I absolutely love sushi. You can also describe food by saying, I enjoy spicy food, or I love desserts, especially chocolate cake.
Great examples. You can also talk about types of cuisine, like I love Italian food or Mexican food is my favorite. And if you're trying something new, you might say, I tried Indian food for the first time and it was delicious.
Exactly. And if you're recommending a dish, you could say, you should try the lasagna. It's amazing. Or the seafood at this restaurant is really fresh.
If you're talking about a restaurant experience, you could say, I went to this great restaurant last weekend. And when you're ordering food, don't forget to say, I'll have the chicken, please. Or, can I get a vegetarian pizza? It makes everything smoother. Next, let's talk about talking about the future. This is something we often do when discussing plans or making predictions. Emma, how do you talk about what you're going to do in the future?
You can say something like, I'm going to the gym later today, or I'll be visiting my parents next weekend. It's a simple way to talk about your plans.
Right. And if you're unsure about your plans, you can say, I might go to the movies tonight, but I'm not sure. Or, I'm thinking about going on a trip next month. It's a great way to show you're still deciding.
And if you want to make predictions, you could say, I think it's going to rain later. Or, I believe the team will win the match this weekend. It's a nice way to talk about what you expect to happen.
Exactly. And when you're asking someone about their plans for the future, you can say, what are you doing this weekend? Or, do you have any plans for the summer? It's a great conversation starter. Another topic that's common in everyday conversations is the news and current events. This can range from world events to local happenings. Emma, how would you start talking about the news?
If you want to bring up something specific in the news, you could say,
Did you hear about the new movie release? Or there's been a lot of talk about the new technology. It's an easy way to start a conversation about current events.
That's true. And if you're asking someone about the news, you could say, have you been following the news today? Or what do you think about what's happening with... It's a great way to engage someone in a conversation about current topics.
Exactly. If you don't want to talk about something too serious, you could ask, did you see that funny video online? Or have you heard the latest gossip? These are lighter ways to talk about what's going on.
And there you have it. We've covered a wide range of topics in today's conversation lesson, from greetings to travel, food, work, and so much more.
We hope you feel more confident in using these everyday English phrases in your conversations. Remember, practice makes perfect. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel.
Exactly. So don't forget to keep practicing and make sure you subscribe to English Broadcast Studio for more useful lessons. We'll be back with more tips and tricks to improve your English.
Thanks for joining us today. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Happy learning!